Hi everyone, it's Monica, and welcome to day 10 of my 12 days of Christmas. Well, I can't believe that we've already gotten through 10 videos and we only have a few left. And today we're going to be creating some tags using some ephemera. And I don't know if you've noticed, but ephemera seems to be a constant reoccurrence this series. But I've had a lot of fun working with some of the ephemera, not only from Tim Holtz, but from my shop as well. And this year I've incorporated some actual vintage items, as you've seen along the way. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to create some tags using the Tim Holtz Big Shot and some of his ephemera, but we're also going to be using some authentic ephemera, and I'll share that with you along the way. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do, of course, is to pick out some cardstock. And because this is going to be a tag and people will be able to see the front and the back, you may want to take into consideration that as well. Now, there's nothing wrong with having white on the back of your tag. In fact, if you're going to use it as a gift, it probably is a good idea so you can put who it's to and who it's from. But if you're just using it as decoration or just some sort of added decor, then you may want to try to use some double-sided paper just to add to the design. Now, I pulled out some of my small, I think these are my 6x6 cardstock paper, and I'm just kind of looking through it to try to get an idea of what I want to work with. When I'm making tags, I usually will get my smaller paper packs out just because they're easier to work with, and I am working with small items. When I am working with the tags and I'm going to cut them down using my die, I'm going to end up, like I said, cutting them down anyway. So the smaller the paper that I start with is just going to make it a little bit easier for me. Now, I'm also going to be using some of these old green stamp books. Now, in some of my earlier projects, I used some of the green stamps, but today we're going to be using some of the green stamp books because they really make great backgrounds. Now, another idea that I used this year is working with some vintage playing cards. Now, you may not think that a playing card would make a nice tag, but these old vintage playing cards have some beautiful graphics. And especially over the holidays, you can find some that have Santa Claus or Red Robins, or even just some sort of a holiday theme. And you can easily cut these out with your dies, and they make beautiful tags. So keep that in mind. If you have any old playing cards, or even, like I said, going to thrift shops or garage sales, you can always find old playing cards, and they make wonderful tags. I'm also going to be using some more green stamps to use as decoration or pieces of ephemera on my tags, as well as some of those milk bottle caps that I've shared with you in the past. And I'm also going to use the little gold disc that I used for one of the cards earlier, the Tim Holtz die. I'm going to be using that on my tags as well. So I had some of these extra items on my desk from some of the cards that I've created. So I'm going to go ahead and incorporate them into some of my tags. Now, not only am I going to show you how to create tags that can be used for presents or even just as decoration on your trees, but I'm also going to show you how you can turn little coin envelopes into money pockets. And these are fun because you can decorate them as an ornament and put them on the tree, and then Christmas morning you can surprise someone with the tag and it'll have a little something inside. And these coin pockets are perfect for gift cards or even just to stash some cash in there. And in the front you're going to decorate them just like a tag, but it kind of hides the money in the back. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the money holders. And like I said, I'm using these small coin holders, and I'm going to go ahead and transform these little envelopes into tags. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is decorate the back. And you can also leave it exactly like it is, or you can trim the corners to make it look more like a tag. It's going to be completely up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and use some of these green stamp booklets to decorate the outside. Now, there's a couple ways you could do this. You could easily just cover it and not have any jagged edges, or you can rip the edges and make it look a little bit more, you know, old and raggedy. And that's probably what I'm going to end up doing on one of them. And then on the other one, I'll just leave it straight, I believe. And I'm just going to go ahead and kind of cut it down to size and tear some of the edges to make it look old. And I'm going to be using some of that antique vintage Mod Podge that I shared with you earlier in the series to adhere it down to the envelopes. Now, if you don't have the Mod Podge, you can use any type of adhesive. I wouldn't recommend the wet glue that I've been using, the Fabri-Tac, because that's a little bit heavy, and this paper is really thin, so you don't want it coming through or looking, you know, messy. So really, you're going to want to use either some tape adhesive or some Mod Podge or some really thinned out glue. Because you don't want the glue to totally saturate the paper and make it look bad. So like I said, I'm using this antique Mod Podge, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere the paper to the background of the envelope, and then I'm going to use the Mod Podge just to get the edges glued down as well. And then once I have the Mod Podge down on the paper, then I'm going to go ahead and either you can let it air dry, or you can take a heating tool to it to help it dry along. So either way, if you're working on a couple of tags, you could probably just set it aside and let it air dry. But if you're only working on one tag, you may want to use your heating tool to help dry it along. And then once your Mod Podge is completely dry, then you can go ahead and take some of your walnut stain or any type of brown ink to edge up the edge of the coin envelope, because you're going to want to make it look old. Now, like I've said in some of my older videos, typically my go-to ink to edge up the sides of my cards and my sides of my envelopes is this walnut stain, because I love the dark brown. But certainly vintage photo would work as well. But I just tend to go to my walnut stain. You know, we're creatures of habit. We tend to just go back to what we know and what we like. And walnut stain definitely is one of the ones that I use more often than not when I'm edging up the sides. Now for the second envelope, you can see I kind of broke my own rule, and I did use that Fabri-Tac. But the reason I did do that is because I'm going to have some more layers on this, and it's going to kind of cover up the background. If you were just to leave it just with the background and not have a lot of embellishments over it, then you definitely don't want to use a wet adhesive, because the paper, like I said, is really thin, and it might tear your paper, or it might just leave lumps. So you just want to take that into consideration. But if you know that you're going to be adding multiple layers onto your background, and you're going to be able to cover up that heavy glue, then you're certainly able to use some wet adhesive. All right, so once I have my background on my coin envelope, then again, I'm going to go ahead and edge it up with my walnut stain, and then we're going to start some layers. Now, these coin envelopes are pretty small, so it doesn't take a lot to cover them up. And you don't have to get too fancy. I mean, just the fact that you're going to be adding some decorative background and some small pieces of ephemera is really going to decorate it up enough. So for mine, because I am using the Savers Books pages, of course I have to use my green stamps, and I'm going to be using my green stamps on the one on the right, but the one on the left, I'm going to go ahead and use some of the tags that I created earlier. And we're going to go ahead and walk through one of the tags in just a minute. But I first wanted to show you how I'm putting together these coin envelopes. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere my green stamps, and I wouldn't recommend licking these. These probably have been in several people's hands over the years, and you certainly don't want to put that in your mouth. But just get some adhesive, or even you can use some water. It probably would still stick, and add it to your coin envelope. And then find a bigger element like this Santa that I'm working with right here to cover up your background. And then behind the Santa, I'm going to go ahead and add this milk bottle cap, because this is what I'm going to be using to punch a hole through to put my twine to be able to hang it on the tree. So I'm just kind of gluing half of the milk bottle cap onto my coin envelope because I don't want to obviously add glue to the other half because that's going to be sticking out on the back. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my Santa. Now for this, you could glue them straight onto your coin envelope, or you can use some foam tape to have them pop up a little bit, just to give them a little bit of dimension. It's completely up to you. Now for mine, I am using the foam tape because I did want him to pop up just a bit from those green stamps. And I think it just looks really nice having him be three-dimensional. But you are going to want to keep in mind of that that milk bottle cap, because it does give your tag a little bit of lift. So you want to make sure that you don't have any foam tape where that milk bottle cap is. And then once you have the Santa adhered, then all you need to do is just punch the hole into the milk bottle cap, add some twine through it, and that's pretty much good to go. The only thing you need to do is just add a gift card or add a little bit of cold cash in there, and that will be great to add to your tree or even to a present. Could work both ways. All right, so let's go ahead and work on the next one. And for the next one, we're going to go ahead and add a tag directly onto the coin envelope. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of my cardstock and run it through my Sidekick using one of the small dies that comes with the set. And when I purchased the Sidekick, it came with a little kit where it had a mini die and some numbers. It had an embossing folder, and I think that was it. But it was a nice little kit, and every year I've used these tags. I mean, these tags are perfect. So I was really happy that I ended up buying the kit versus just buying the Sidekick, because those little mini tags have really come in handy. So now that I have my little tag cut out, then I'm going to go ahead and adhere my tag along with my milk bottle cap onto my coin envelope. And by using the tag, you can see it really becomes part of the background. The tag alone would be too small, so I wanted to go ahead and use the tag as a focal point and then work around that, adding my milk bottle cap along with some of my smaller ephemera. So I'm going to go ahead, like I said before, I'm going to add part of that glue to my milk bottle cap, and you just want to pay attention to when you are adding the glue, because remember, part of your milk bottle cap is going to be above your coin envelope, so you don't want to add glue to the entire back of your milk bottle cap. And then from there, once I have my cap glued down, then I'm just going to be adding more pieces of my ephemera to embellish the rest of the tag. Now, there's no rhyme or reason on this, you guys. You can just kind of play with your ephemera, see what works. And that's usually when I'm making these layered cards or layered tags. That's what I'm doing. I'm just bringing out different pieces of ephemera and different elements to see what works. And like I've said before, there's no wrong answer. Everything works. So it's just what you like. So just play with your pieces of ephemera. Just rearrange it until you get the look that you want. And remember, when you are working with layers, don't be afraid to layer on top of your other pieces of ephemera. That's the idea of a layered card. Every piece doesn't have to show 100%. So get over yourself and layer your ephemera on top of your other pieces of ephemera, because that's what creates the really fun, nostalgic, eclectic look. And just as I did on the first coin envelope, I'm going to add a hole punch to the top of that milk bottle cap, and I'm going to be able to put a string through it to be able to put it on the tree, or like I said, even add it to a gift. So as you can see, these little gift pouches are really easy to make. And if you don't have these coin envelopes, I'm going to go ahead and include a link where you can get one in my shop. And I'll just put a couple out there so that way you can get them and download them and create your own coin envelopes. And I'm going to be sharing that with you right now. I have some really cool paper that I got. I don't remember where I got it, but it's old post office ledger. It's when people used to buy money orders. And it's the ledger paper. So I was able to actually purchase that and create some digital downloads. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you in just a minute here to create some of these pouches. And it creates a really fun tag as well as a pouch. So let's go ahead and get to that. So For the digital downloads, all you need to do is, like all of them, you just need to download it and just score where the lines are, and you're going to be able to create this cute little pouch. And it's the perfect size for your gift card or for your money holder. So if you don't have the coin envelopes, these little pouches will work great. Now I think I'm going to be able to put 2 of these little coin pouches on one sheet. So I know a lot of us don't need lots of gift card holders or money pouches. So you might be able to just get away with downloading one sheet to create 2 little gift cards. And as you can see, the pockets are going to have that fun post money order post ledger on the front, and I was able to size it down to fit on the envelope and make it look like an old vintage envelope. And it really came out cute. I was really pleased with it once I was finished with it. As you can tell, you guys, I get a kick out of vintage stuff, and I just have so much fun creating, and I hope that does come through with my videos. More and more, I'm starting to use some of my vintage ephemera and some of the ephemera that I've created using some of my vintage ephemera because I just love the look. You guys can get these cute little envelopes over at the shop using coupon code COIN, COIN, and I'll make sure that I leave a link for you below. And I'll leave that up there for you for a few days. All right, so that pretty much does it for video number 10. We'll be back in a couple days for number 11, and then on the 12th day, we're going to be doing a video hop. Now, I am having a sale over at the shop right now where it is 20% off of everything, so be sure to stop by and check it out. All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see you again next time.